If everyone's ready, we'll see. It seems like I've been gone for several months.
Yeah.
Anyway, welcome everyone tonight to the Southwest Vermont Supervisor Union Policy Draft Committee. It is June 12th, 2017, and it's about 4:33. What I'd like to do is go through the agenda items and ask everyone if they're okay and whether we want to change, rearrange something along that line, or add or delete at this period before we get started. So the agenda items will be public comments. We have minutes from May 8th to approve. We have policy number 3100 for transportation, policy 5145 for administrative regs notification, policy 5111 with administrative reg update next, and then we have policy 4327 family medical leave, and then we have our tracking sheets and others. So if anyone would like to have anything rearranged at this time or added that they're here for the night that we don't have down on the list to discuss. Hearing nothing, we'll proceed as such as for in terms of the agenda. As usual, we and you know we have our name tags. We still want to say who all is here, even though we got name tags. Is that
Sure.
okay? Sure. Okay. Well, why don't we start with Lisa?
Okay. Lisa Poklasky, Administrative Assistant, and Donna Lee.
Hi, I'm Donna Leaf. I'm Assistant Superintendent.
Renee Gordon, Director of Finance and Operations.
Bruce Lee Clark from the Southwest Vermont Career Development Center.
Maria Scully from North Bennington.
Frank Barnes, Director of Educational Technology.
Dave Barrow, Dean of Students at the high school.
And Rob Plunkett, MA School Board for Benton.
Dave Laux, BSD.
Kevin Goodhue, Mount Anthony.
Dick Krantz, Woodford.
And Leon Johnson, Mount Anthony. So with that, the first item on the list is a public comment item. And at this time, we would like to, is there anyone that has a public comment like to make? Okay, if not, we'll move on. We have minutes from May 8th. Everyone had a chance to review those or have any comments about the minutes from May 8th?
Move to approve.
It's been moved to approve and second. Dave, any discussion? If not, a motion to everyone get a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any extensions, objections? No. Okay. All right. Good. Minutes are all set. The next policy on is 3100 transportation. Now, we'll give Lisa a chance to pull it up. We had Dick and someone, John Bullitt did a lot of work in trying to rewrite and reformat and change the flow of the transportation policy. And so what we have up here is right now is the current policy. And what I was thinking that we could do it, because we didn't get a chance to get all of the details of all the things. So when they redid the policy, to just remove some things. And so what we like to do is have stuff stricken so that you'll know that this is what's been stricken or this is what's been moved, as opposed to a clean copy. And so Dick did a good job, and Bullet, they cleaned up the policy, but we keep asking, where did this go and what was there?
Yeah.
So I thought it would be appropriate if
You can leave it blank.
we were to start out and ask Dick with their old policy and just go right down, it's got the numbers on it, and say, okay, I want to insert all of this in this particular section right here as we go through the policy. And he's gotten all that information now. Does that be okay for, and at least you have his older version that you can take and copy and paste so you won't have to type? Is that gonna be,
Yep, yeah.
okay?
Is there a way to put them side by side up there or anything bizarre like that?
Yeah.
Just
There
because
is, but it's gonna be awful small,
it was such a complete rewrite.
huh?
Yeah, that's what we can't do. We have
Yeah.
to follow the format that was previously there.
You don't
So
want-
we can,
So-
as long as you can show the boards as this goes around, everything that you changed and where it came from, you can do. But it'll be a long policy.
Yeah, so that was one way of doing it, was to try to make sure that the boards, when they see the current policy, they want to know what was there.
What did we,
What did
And
you
what did we
change?
change?
Every single word and
Yeah, and that's where,
punctuation mark.
that's why we're having to do this. So,
Well, the first section's, the policy, what, line 3 through 7 or something,
right, that's,
basically doesn't change.
Correct.
right.
okay.
And so the next section will be down is right at number 9, you had a change that you wanted to insert there, and that's what I was gonna say. We can see whether we can do that.
Well, I don't know if you want to add this or not, but we added a paragraph that says, that sort of indicates, what's the word I'm looking for here?
The intent of the policy is what you
the
had,
intent of the
procedures.
policy. That's what, set forth procedures that are to be followed by the above districts for transportation to and from school. I don't
Right.
know.
Will that, can you bullet that, and have numbers on it, on the lines, or will that be too
Schools
much?
for field trips.
I can't read it, but it's
yeah.
blue.
Oh, sorry.
I don't
Okay.
think that we need that if you follow the policy, the first part. It
Okay.
already says that.
Okay,
We have no love for any piece, it's just thrown out there for sacrifice,
So-
that's the idea.
so I read through that, and the first part that Dick's wanted to put in, and while we were thinking about it, is this policy sets forth procedures that should be followed by the districts in providing student transportation to students, to and from school, and field trips, athletics, and other sponsored events. This is something that we wanted to bring up front because there was a lot of question about other events and so forth.
Right.
Also, it specifies the responsibility of the contractors hired to provide transportation service to the students. I think that's a great statement myself, in terms of all the things that we want. And is that the right place that we wanted to put it, right there? Bruce?
I want to take a step back because I'm finding this, I'm assuming this is, we're in a time crunch because we've got a contract or an RFP to put out, or if we've already put out.
No,
We've
that's
already
already
done
been
it.
put out.
Oh, that's already done.
Yeah.
So here, it could be just me, and if it is, let's continue. It would be much more helpful for me to have both documents and see them side by side, and then have a discussion when we do that. I mean, we could do that now with
insert it.
physical copies, but I'm finding going from there, which is your revision, as I understand it, to what we were given, which is the old version, right?
Right, and that was why we...
I'm finding that extremely difficult to do. Now, if it's just me, I'll recant everything. But I would be a much happier camper if we had either one or the other. I mean, side by side, so I knew what it is you were doing.
Any other comments in terms of how we wanted it? And all of that, you're not off base. This is what the reason we're talking about it like that. But we want to make it easy and make it so that it's understood from somebody. The other part of that would be to just have, we can talk about what's there on this version here, and then insert it in the other policy for the next meeting. Is that?
Just, if I could,
Yeah.
What do you think?
one of the things we tried to do was take out the negatives in this policy. It starts right, the old policy starts right off with, transportation will not be provided. So we try to take out some of the negatives first of all. We try to take out the individual school district references, and each one of them has one, if I'm not mistaken, except possibly Woodford. And we try to move those to administrative regulations, because they really don't need to be in policy anyway, and if those walking distances change, that kind of thing, you know.
So all of that's good. Everybody's saying the same thing. It's just that we're trying to see how we can visualize it and be able to tell everybody that this was the old policy and here's this piece is in this section right here when they're on two different documents. That's what we're trying to see, how to do this, how to get them together, and whether we wanted to take time here or whether we wanted to just.
May I just say, just for the sake of having a starting point, could we go through the old policy and show all the things that have been taken out? Because Renee has looked at this policy and knows what's up to date. We've
Okay.
done a little work on it, so the things in italics were the things that were added to make it current. And then if in that format, Dick, you see some things that you wanted to change or had some words, tell us where that would fit and we can insert it into the policy. Because if there are things that you want to change that are in there, because it's a massive policy and most of the things will be taken out. So the things that are left, if you want to help format them into saying something more positively or to add any pieces of it that are more current, we could add in, but we can't really just take it and shift everything around at once. So if we could start at the top and go through it, we could decide on the changes.
I think
That's what we was doing,
Okay.
trying to start. I was going to
So
start to
let's
do that,
just-
and Bruce wanted to have it do, and which made sense. It's hard for him to follow, so we got to start somewhere. We wanted. This is the main piece that we were going to be trying to hit to tonight in terms of that. So if we take,
Is
the
it
first 50
possible to print that out and just give us a printed copy of that? Is that
Yes.
possible?
Yes.
Which one?
That would be the one that's on the board right
The
now.
old
It's all
one?
marked up.
No, the new
That-
one.
That's,
The one that's all marked
The
up?
one that's marked up, the marked up copy. The one that got does me nothing. That tells me zero.
It's the new one you want.
Yeah.
Okay. The new one with the.
Yeah,
That
that
you
would be
just
the one
had
that
for
would be
that.
helpful.
I had most of it in the administrative red piece.
Okay.
We can print that.
It may be the case that you had it, but at least I didn't get it in the
I didn't get it
packet.
all
I'm
in.
gonna have to go to my computer.
You have that one with all the markups, isn't that what you want? Isn't that
yeah.
what you want, Bruce?
But
I
have to go to my-
I do not have that. Can
Oh,
I
you
just get a
can't print.
printed copy?
No, you want the piece that Dick put out with the header on it, the information piece.
No, he's
Can I
talking
get
No,
about
that?
one.
This
No.
right
This one.
Oh,
here.
You.
I don't, did anybody else get that?
No.
No.
So that's,
I only got one.
yeah,
Alright,
that's what I
sorry.
got. So that's what I would like, if it's possible. If it's not possible,
Yes,
it's okay.
yes.
I can, but I have to go to my computer.
Well, at least you
You
can.
could, yeah, you could
send it
actually
to me.
email it.
You
Right
could
there.
email
I don't know if I
from-
have access to it.
I'm not in as
She's
many.
not
I'm
in
gonna guess
her
because
computer.
my file is too big. It would take forever to load my profile.
Okay,
Sorry.
let's see.
I'll be back.
If it's not possible, it's okay. I'll.
It's possible. It'll just take a little while.
How many?
I don't think we face a crisis on this
Mm-mm.
before the school year anyway. We've got a policy in place. It's just, as far as I was concerned, it was disorganized. Didn't make any
I-
sense.
Yeah,
Sure.
okay, we'll grab it. You, I'll take copies for that.
We want, is it easier to come back to this in a few minutes and do something else while she's printing?
We can, do that. I don't know how long it takes to do that. So if we have,
You need her.
but we need her to manipulate the stuff that we wanted to do unless we wanted to talk.
Well, the
we can
next
talk about.
the next two really are administrative rates and we're
Right.
not going to manipulate those.
Right.
No.
And so we can cover
We talk
that.
about those.
No, we can just talk about what's there, but
Sure.
it's nothing to do. We want it, and so, okay, we'll get those out of the way, Bruce, if that's okay with everybody. Policy number 5145 is condoms availability and the high school have added the administrative regs to that, and that's online
Right.
so that you can see that. So if you went out and pulled up that policy, you'll see what the administrative regs is for that. And so we wanted everybody to just know that,
Right.
okay?
May I just add a little something?
Yes,
It's a part of trying to be more accountable about how and when those administrative regs are written to be, not necessarily that this board has an editing part in that, but to know that they have been written and they've been attached to the policy. So we're keeping track of that on our tracking sheet from month to month, and so I just wanted to bring to your awareness the ones that have been done or are in progress. Okay?
Yeah.
okay.
I thought that's good.
Okay.
Uh, The next policy on here was 5411, comprehensive HIV bloodborne pathogen administrative regs updated, and they are out there for the same notification that those regs are online.
They're not, those are not online. I just
Be
wanted to
updated
update.
by Donna, okay.
I met with Nancy Coleman, because this is kind of a work in progress for the bloodborne pathogens, to have administrative regs that really spell out the process of how do you handle a spill that might have pathogens involved. So I'm working together with the nurses. I helped them to rewrite the exposure plan that this policy refers to, and so we're editing that to include all the details of what would actually happen within our schools and in our supervisor union. And then we're also writing some protocols for what the nurses do, and in terms of if there is a spill, or also in terms of professional development within their buildings to clarify to everyone how they should handle a spill, and also some specialized trainings that would be done for nurses, custodians, and maintenance people who would have a more hands-on function with taking care of those spills, and to know really the techniques of how to manage that if there is a spill within the building. And it also spells out that all staff members will have a annual retraining on and review on handling bloodborne pathogens, and any bodily fluid.
Sure, yeah.
And
So
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 next
we're,
policy.
the nurses are actually gonna work on that during our 3 professional development days coming up. I've just given them a newly edited copy of that exposure control plan that really has all the details in it from OSHA. And so they're gonna take another look at that. By next fall, when we come back, we'll probably have a good start on where all of those regs will bring them to you.
Excellent.
And so all that information was in different places. We were doing that, so we wanted everybody to know we had things down that were being done, but they wasn't tied to the policy as
Right,
part of that.
right.
They were in the spirit of the policy and conformed to what the policy said, but it wasn't tied to the policy. So now those regs that is going out and capturing all that information and tying it and putting it in on the system to be part of that policy.
It
Okay.
also gives a uniform place that people can go and look for those protocols. And
Right.
even that exposure control plan can be easily accessed. It's not like you have to go find it in the building somewhere.
No.
Okay, with that, thanks for that recommendation, Bruce. We've gotten 2 of those out of the way. And so now we can, Lisa's gone out and made copies, and we're back now with the copy. This is the one that was sent out to everyone, so you get a chance to look at that. And you can put that back up on the board, and then we can start going down through it. Okay? You're all set? Okay. So you can see that there's the first thing now, number 7, there's a strikeout that was made, a change there to take off and rename that. There is a
Can I stick you on 9 there?
number 9, yes, I was going to say number 9.
Because
Go
we're,
ahead.
we're talking about other things besides regular school hours too.
Right. And so right now, students are provided transportation during regular school hours pertinent to the following conditions. And this is where we wanted to start going into some of the rewrite, if they wanted to say. The statement that I started to read that they prepared and put together is one that probably will be put into this section because it did what we wanted everybody to it said what everybody wanted and needed to have in that spot. And I know you won't see that, so you can say, I'll read that again, but what Dick had down and followed was that the policy set forth in this procedure that shall be followed by the districts in providing student transportation to and from schools and what was now the big part, field trips, athletics, and other sponsored events. It also specifies the responsibility of the contractors hired to provide transportation service for students.
So people can see it. So
I think that's a good thing to have right in that section for that policy in number 9 spot. Okay. If everybody agreed, then we
the
can.
bold is what I pulled out of.
Right, I
Yeah.
totally hear you. Yep.
So we think we need to strike 9 now? I mean, put a strike through this number 9, is that? Or we need to move it, students provided transportation during the regular school. If we need to come back and pull that somewhere and move it, we'll be able to do that in that section if we don't capture that. Comment?
If I read 12, line, not that line 12. Okay, I don't know where it is in that. It's where it's talking around line 17. Can you bring that up sort of, you're gone.
Oh,
Can you-
sorry.
Yeah, that's right. So as I understand, Dick, what you're trying to work on is first, regular school day transportation. And then I'm assuming at some point there will be field trip transportation, and then athletic transportation, and then other sponsored event transportation. Is that?
No, we didn't.
Well, if we're gonna talk about those,
I guess,
then the rules, I mean, because they're not the same thing.
Right,
So-
but this policy, and that's what we're.
That's what I mean.
This says transportation. And so
No.
as we tried to discuss, I know what was said right here was the first
Underline-
statement.
Well,
Go ahead.
Just let me, so as I understand I like the addition. I mean, what we're talking about is all of the transportation. This policy will cover all the different ways in which the SVSU provides transportation to
Right.
students. I get that. I think that makes a lot of sense. And that's what Dick's proposed addition at 9 would say.
Right.
but
So, but the policy as I read it, or as I'm looking at it right now, doesn't include those, and granted this is just cursory, doesn't include things like, is there a section that would deal with day, there's, most of the transportation we do is to and from school, or that's the vast majority.
that's what we tried to address first, and then
I
there's
know.
another whole section.
Says other transportation issues, what he wants to put in there.
That-
You don't
that
see
does
that
make
yet.
sense.
But
So
it's not even here in the document that
No.
just got printed out.
that's right. It's not on that. That's what I was saying. I was
That
saying
will
it's,
be- That will,
that's, yeah, I was saying
All
there's
right.
2 documents and you wanted to put them side by side, but then you wanted to get the
well,
current one.
apparently there are 3 documents, as I see it. There's this, which has been, which is helpful. There's the old one,
Right.
and then there's a Dick and
John Lloyd redid it to try to make it flow and
proposed
include all the
and
stuff.
I get that. I think that makes all kinds of sense.
That section that you're looking for,
Uh-huh.
as we rewrote it, we called it section 3, but it addresses special
Sure.
ed services, athletic events, school trips. and private school, and we found those were all mixed into everything else before. So every time
Right.
you went on to a rule, you had a statement about how you were going to modify the rule.
Yeah, no, I get that.
So,
So there's no easy way to do this right now besides trying to do this and just let it all get on one copy and then go back through it again,
Right.
or...
No, I think that it has to get eventually on all one copy.
Yeah, it has to get on
I
one
just
copy.
need
It
to
just
change
has to.
that because it's probably, I don't know why it didn't, probably
You
more.
see what I mean?
Is that, yes?
I think it just has to be. We have to bite the bullet and know that there's gonna be a lot of paper here for a minute, or a lot of that for a
Is that
minute.
okay, Lisa? So we're saying, we know we're gonna have to have it inserted in there some kind of way, so we'll just,
the not statement, I gotta tell you, the not statement right up at front is the first statement, just bothers me.
okay.
Which, when
I think it's above there.
Right
Oh,
here.
it's right there.
Oh.
Number one.
transportation will not be provided.
Oh, there it is, I'm sorry,
Mhm.
yeah.
And
Okay.
there's an easy way around that.
We just put it down
Say
at
that how
number
it
5
was.
No,
instead
you
of
just say
number
it's
1.
Yeah.
Okay.
The SVSU only provides transportation for students who are attending
Inside.
school in their
Designated.
designated school attendance zone.
Yeah,
So-
anything like that works.
So the way you did it in terms of the next insertion in there, the way that you did it in there, would be following the statement that we just had in there in terms of transportation to and from school. So if you put that statement in here, then the next section will be transportation to and from school. And you had a bunch of information that could be copied over and moved over.
That's the opposite. Sorry.
Within, just change outside to
Okay.
within.
Yeah, don't worry about outside, just,
Yeah.
yeah, within.
Get rid of the,
I-
of.
Perfectly happy getting rid of negative statements.
Yeah.
Generally happy, yeah. Like
Okay.
that.
School or a
No,
school or
no, no,
schools?
just right within.
Okay.
So this is regular school day transportation while you're doing that, and then you had maybe
Very good.
this that you wanted to put in
Are you
there.
keeping the administrative compensation?
No, because that's a, oh, wait,
Looking at
yes.
what 2 is because
That shouldn't have gotten stricken before.
3, number
That should still be there.
2. We had the special
Only
ed
provides
section.
students attending school within the designated school.
So
attendance
all
zone.
2 and,
We moved 2 down to the other transportation issues, actually.
okay, so you want to say what you wanted to put up in there. Once you get that out of the way.
Okay. Okay, so that first one is in the transportation, it's number 3.
So if that part of the statement is okay, what I'll ask Lisa, if you don't mind going over to the section that Dick had, and it's the transportation to and from school, which will follow that, because we talk about transportation provided to students. So what he has down, and this is what you're looking at, that he's, what Dick and John did, is this whole section I, that one, Roman number 1, all of that section, if we just clip all of that, does that make sense to do?
Flip all of what?
that-
All
I
of
mean-
This
what?
whole section.
That whole section for
All right.
transportation, if we're
What-
saying we want to move it, if
We
we
do.
move it,
Why are we moving that? It's all,
so that we can see it, that's all on the same, within the same document, and agree or not agree, that's what I thought we wanted to do.
oh, not that whole.
Well, we can do it in
That would-
section.
No.
Okay, well, what is it that we want to do for that right now?
I want to read it
That's
first,
Oh.
because I haven't read it. That,
Okay. All right,
the issue is you have seen this and seen it and seen it, and
Right.
Dick has seen it and seen it. I have not.
we
So
want to make
it's
it,
really hard for me to do this, that.
we want to make it large so he can read it.
No, it's not a question about large, it's a question about, give me a chance to even read it.
All right, we'll take a minute and go through it.
It should be tabled. What am I?
I agree. And I can send copies to, email everything.
District shall adopt with recommendations from its own administrative regulations.
Bear in mind, we weren't working with the
No.
new one that we
Yeah.
saw today. We were working with an older one than that, 2008.
I hear you. I know this was a jumbled policy. I get that. I think it's hard. Elementary board members, does it make sense for each board to adopt its own walking distance, or maximum walking distance to and from school regulations? Does that make sense?
BSD is, and yes, I mean, whether you have new.
Bennington doesn't, they don't have buses, and Connell isn't here, but
Right.
it would be really helpful to have some sense of, and Connell Shasberry back there, and I know that, but
It seems like it would be best if you could consolidate that with SVSU to do, I don't know if all boards would be willing to cede that authority, but they should be.
Well, they hadn't, that's what brought this on.
they
And
have,
that's what made this coming out in this policy, is because the districts had issues with
so,
wanting to do some other things that wasn't normal in terms of that.
so let me just see if I understand our current status. 'Cause, our current status is that every board sets its own maximum walking distance regulation. I thought we had an SVSU-wide, we don't. Only some.
The old policy we were working with had
Amendments.
5 different
Okay.
districts
Yeah.
laid out
Right.
with
You're right.
different
That's
walking
right.
distances.
Right. And that was the issue. BSD wanted to change theirs, and then we had to come back to the whole policy and so forth, and we're saying, okay, we need to do something about that. So,
Doesn't that strike you as a reason to have a single policy for the SVSU? I know
Yes.
that I'm
Yes.
speaking
Yes.
out of turn as a CDC faculty member
How
who I have nothing at stake here, but gosh,
you do. I mean, this is true. This is what.
it just strikes me as,
What are the maximum walking distances and how many students do they affect?
The old ones were 1.5 mile radius for Mount Anthony.
the current ones, in fact, those aren't the old ones, those are the current ones.
Well,
Yeah, they are the current right
Mayfair, I
now.
don't know what this
Yeah.
one
And
says.
BSD had came in and made a change to something on the.
They didn't want it by a radius, they wanted
Yeah.
it by,
And so, and this is what we
Action.
try to do, is accommodate everybody in this area, and
Yes.
that's why the statement got to be what it is.
So my question on that is, how many students are not eligible for transportation, and how much money does that save the schools in general? If it's negligible, then it's probably not
probably
a
almost.
discussion. If it's something significant, then that's.
But we
something
won't be the
definitely-
ones to make that decision at this board in
Well,
terms of
to know
dollars.
that information.
But
Yeah.
to know that information
know
when
it,
you're writing
yeah.
policy makes all the difference in the world.
If the board, that's right, if your board says how much, I mean, yes. If Mount Anthony says how many students outside this for me, I want to know that, that would be fine. If BSD want to know how many is in this area is affecting them, or pound along that line individually, Renee may have all that and pull it in that way, but at the bottom line, to come down to, because individual boards out here are saying, I want this regardless, and so that's what we have to
Right.
respect.
I would think their cost wouldn't be a factor because the kids, students that are within that walking distance, the bus would be passing them anyway, so it's not gonna give us any savings.
That is so sensible.
Sheesh.
It's for those people that live way out, that's what's
yeah.
costing us
Yeah.
money.
So why is there even a policy to limit students from
Because
grab the
if
bus.
we do have to stop and pick those students up that are close enough to walk at whatever distance the board decides, that changes our bus routes and times. So that would kick out our
So,
start times to be able to make more stops.
There's the cost that I'm talking.
Well, that would be the cost that you're saying that if you had to do something different along that line, but, I mean, extend the bus route or not extend it and the contract, whether that affect the contract or not, I don't know here, but at that time, it was something to be considered for each individual board. And
Sheer numbers probably make a difference.
Well, the buses would get full.
the buses will get full,
Might
and
have to
have
have
another
buses.
bus.
So there is a cost.
Yeah.
You just don't know what it is.
Right. That's better.
So, in the wordings that go back to Bruce, that say, okay, why does each district have to say that? Because of the cost impact, or what other impact may affect them more so that they want to have some control over, because we got all the individual districts. And you gotta respect that and have that district have its right to do just that. And this is why it's spoken to in this manner.
But I think by stating it, it's gonna help parents understand or know what the
Right.
expectation is. And right now, there's confusion when we have students going from early ed because that has a different set of transportation guidelines that we follow, which is different from kindergarten, which is different from first to sixth grade, and then it differs again when we get to the high school, middle school, high school.
Right.
Do we really need a separate policy for every single district?
Policy, no.
A kid in
Regs,
Pownell has to
yes.
walk a mile, a kid in Bennington has to walk a mile, it doesn't seem like it's really, that should be different.
And that's why we formed the Uniform Policy Committee, to try to, get everybody to think on the same page. You'll be able to see that, and eventually, if we could get everybody to agree, but then who sets the district distance? I mean, we have from administration here, but the actual information is coming from the individual boards. And so if we can get everybody to agree that 1.5 miles is good, then we don't have a problem. But I can tell you, it's not gonna happen right now.
Seems like we should try.
It
So-
will be a number, they got pushed to.
Oh, yeah, I mean, there's no question, I'm not saying we're not trying, I'm just trying to give you, you knew, everybody's new, and I'm saying, okay, well, what happened here? The reason we had to do this is because the last recommendation of changes came from DSD that wanted to change something that didn't affect anybody else, and so they wanted to do just that. And then Pownell had their own buses and said, I wanted to do this, and we're still trying to get everybody to agree, and you haven't got it yet.
But
So we can put the policy out and everybody can see it, and then the administrative regs and so forth, and when the distance is set, you say, well, this is the same, so why do we have to do that if we can get everybody to do that? But they need to see it first. There.
If you, with the one that we just got today, if you go to line 41, item 4, basically it's the same as the first statement there, so you could leave this policy.
can you say what page you're on? And
I'm on
is
the
it
one you
page
just
2?
got handed, and it's page 2.
The page 2 of that?
And it's line 41.
Okay.
That's basically the same statement
Here,
I got it.
well, it's because I moved, I
Oh.
inserted
Yeah.
things, so I moved everything down.
Sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
At any rate, that's part of your policy too, so.
At least that moves it to regulations where the board can then just, or the administration can then change it.
Well,
But
item 4 isn't the regulation. Item 4
no,
is
it
the
says,
policy.
no, I understand that, but it moves the number, the raw number that everybody is gonna work with. I would still, I'm gonna play devil's advocate. I don't see any reason why we might not state that the superintendent, in consultation with the boards, will set the maximum walking distance from school for all schools in the SVSU. That means there can be a difference between kindergarten and first grade. There can be a difference between sixth grade and seventh grade. But that the superintendent is in consultation with the school board. I'm just thinking ahead, because I'm thinking ahead to the time when there aren't 5 school or 6 school boards around this table. And there will come that time. Okay?
Yeah.
So if I'm thinking of that, I know I'm a hopeful optimist.
I like your optimism.
I'm hearing
There
music
will come
playing.
that
I'm
time.
hearing music playing, Bruce.
So,
Well, it may not be this day, but there will be a day. So it seems to me that if we ought to at least raise that flag here and say to the boards, because the boards are populated by different people than they were when this came out. And I think we ought to trust the folks who elected them. Those folks wanted something different. What number 4 at line 41 is our old mindset of how we want to think this out. My suggestion, if I had to rewrite this right now, would be, and I'm not wed to any of this, would be that the superintendent of the SVSU, in consultation with whatever boards happen to be here, will set the minimum or maximum walking distance from school for all students, and just see what happens when that goes out to the board. I would be interested in knowing that.
well, don't have a
You
money.
could say the school district instead of each school district.
Yeah,
And
the
solve
school
that
districts.
problem.
That would be fine with
It
me.
still says the same thing even if
Right.
there are 5 districts.
Right, even if there are 5 districts or however many.
We can do
And there
that
might be
as long as you
things
get all the
like-
districts to approve it, that's all.
But that statement number 4 and following it number 5 on the next page over is,
Yeah.
the reason we wanted to move that up is because this is a transportation policy and we started right off in this 3rd paragraph substituting stuff that was
I get you.
special need, and so
Right.
we
Mhm.
all of that stuff has gone into administrative regs actually.
Right, and that's
So we
where it
did,
belongs.
yeah,
But the
okay.
first 2 statements were
Right,
on your new one, page 2, line 41, page 3, line 5.
But you can see
But
why.
I don't
know
We keep
where-
going back, and maybe, we're trying to do this, but I'm trying to say, would it be easy to have it just sit back and put all of that in this policy,
But
and
those-
we have one thing?
Those 3 things are the same statement,
be
they just should be
100%
your lead statement.
Right, it's just that everybody keep asking the same question, and the information is already there, it's just in a different section,
right.
and they don't know it, and I'm trying to figure out how to get this all done by saying, let's go back out.
You do what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
You just move that up.
Well,
yeah.
if everybody agreed to that, I don't have a problem with it.
Could we, I would like us to try to put this all into a document. I know that's gonna be a pain in the neck
That's what
for a
I'm,
little bit,
Yeah.
but I think it's gonna make it easier in the long run. We will be able to move things around even when you do that. The organization of it doesn't matter, as long as you have strikeouts and italics. But, it would be
Go ahead.
helpful, Mr. Chair, if even today, we gave the drafters an idea about support for for changing what it says at line 41 and adding instead that the superintendent is empowered to set in consultation with the school board the maximum walking distances for students in the district.
if
And run
everybody
that up the
agrees to
threshold
that,
of
we
feasibility.
can do that. I just wanted, it sounds good, I don't have a problem with
Well, for right
that.
now, it's
And we can do that and put forth that policy out there when we get it done and have all the boards look at it, as long as you're able to defend that at your board meetings when it comes up for the discussion.
Can we do that then?
Sounds good.
I think so.
I think that reads already that way, because administrative regulations are not
I know.
determined by the board, so.
Right.
No,
It says each district, doesn't say each
But-
district school board.
the problem is the where, I don't even know where this portion of it, I would want that in the policy, that it's the superintendent's job to set the maximum walking distance.
We want to give that to the
That's it.
I
superintendent.
want to
Has
give
been in there, hasn't
in consultation, so at
Nobody
line
changed it.
41
No, that's,
of wherever that is,
give me a word.
Yeah,
it says each district shall adopt.
I
Keep
think
going.
it's
that
the
page.
top of the
Keep going
next
down.
page,
Yeah,
it's not
right there, right
41.
there.
No,
District.
There it is, right
Number
there.
6.
Number
right?
6.
Okay.
Okay, so the numbering is different in your version. So instead of what it says there, I would substitute the superintendent in consultation with the school board shall specify the maximum walking distance from school for all students. And I would then blend that, I would then merge that with the next paragraph, which would then say, for reasons of safety, the superintendent may provide for transportation of students who reside within the specified walking distance if in the superintendent's opinion, that's an issue of safety for that particular student. In other words, the superintendent is explicitly given the authority to make exceptions to the superintendent's own rule, which strikes me as the most logical thing to do.
I think that's a good thing to do. It's just that we got to get all the boards to approve it. That's all.
That may be true, and I'll worry
That's all.
about that when we get there, but right now I'd like to run that up the flagpole and hopefully
So is
somebody-
everybody's in agreement, Lisa, if we can put that above that,
And I'd be even happy
Well,
to
it's
give
right,
that.
you
I
can modify
we
that.
can modify
I can even
that.
give you that language. I'll write
So-
it right there.
So
Okay.
just cross out right up to
Yeah.
the.
The superintendent,
Cross, just do a cross out.
I did. So obviously that's gonna get capitalized.
Yeah.
Okay.
What did
Its
I
own.
say?
In
In
consultation.
consultation with the school board, right?
Board or
Yeah.
boards?
Board that.
we go, board, one, we want
We're
to
gonna
make,
save
make it
ourselves some
one.
editing later on.
Okay,
Shall, and then it specify the then we just
Cross out
cross out
next.
everything else up to specify. Yeah, specify. Shall specify, cross off the ing. The maximum walking
Wait,
distance.
wait,
from- It's already there. Okay, get rid of the ing, cross, yep, crossing that. And then you keep all that,
Go right above it.
and then
Its own district
cross
website.
off
That last sentence.
the part beyond which a student is entitled to transportation. That's superfluous. And then I would actually merge that with number 7.
And take off the calculation. one.
Yeah, I don't care what.
That's-
Wait, is the beyond which, is that superfluous? Because otherwise you don't know why you have a maximum walking distance.
Well, okay. Rabbi, I don't know.
I would leave that too.
You would leave it too?
Beyond
But
which
leave
students
that,
are
but
entitled
then take
to
off the last.
transportation.
Okay. I'm,
Because the superintendent's gonna set some, and that be what they are entitled
Okay.
to, so.
well, I would say the maximum. Okay,
Lisa,
That's-
line
that's
Go back
fine.
up
one,
and take
its
off
own,
its
right
own,
at the end.
yeah.
okay.
that's fine.
Right after
Oh, yeah, I
superintendent.
meant
And
to
then-
do that.
We could decide, I mean, I would simply merge that with number 7, but if we don't want to do that, that's fine. I don't care. I have no feelings one way or another.
7 stuff with reason for safety.
Yeah, 7 is part of the current policy, actually.
Yeah.
So is that other one?
I know, that's why we just changed it.
Yeah, I think you could make it all one.
Okay, we wanna
Or
make
it
it all
could be
one,
two-
and
It's two separate.
Something
Six
that
big
I want to do for 20
two separate topics. One is talking, start in with safety.
Technical.
So,
It's a technical.
we have some,
I
some,
use that technical.
I'm waiting for the, so, everybody's not in agreement with the merge of these two
That's fine.
sentences. Okay, because one starts out with safety, and I just want to leave it right now like it
Two
is.
different issues.
I just have
Yeah.
a suggestion for line 2 to avoid
Good.
various different things. In consultation with each school board shall,
Okay,
each school board, if there's 1, if there's 12, it
Okay.
still works.
love it. And get rid of the "the." That's fine. Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
It's just.
Let's make that a model.
Delete the. Okay.
For thoughts to come.
That also doesn't,
Part you
you
put
know,
in should be.
fulfill what you're really looking for.
I know, but I can live with that.
Well, we want to do that everywhere we possibly can, and that's
You
why we
betcha.
got a uniform committee here to try to do all of those things.
I want this eventually to be easy enough for me to explain to my relatives in North Carolina why we do it like this.
I
Okay.
think that's tomorrow's meeting.
All right, so
That's the one I'm not in, so,
we all set?
yep.
Okay, so with that, is there anything else out here besides, that you wanted to?
We want to change that numbering, don't you?
Oh,
It's not 6 and 7
Oh,
anymore,
that
it's
could-
probably 1 and 2 or something, just so
Yeah.
that.
I'm sure it is.
do
When
that.
when we get to the point of
And
putting it
8 is
together,
already in there on the one we reworked.
Okay, so I'm trying to go on down and see what it is next we gotta do here in terms of,
Well, you still have to put in the negative now, don't you? If you've
Wow.
got all the basic rules, do you need to say
no,
that we're not providing, or you don't need to
No.
include that at all?
no, you don't.
So, the basic policy, it's 6 and 7, and what's above that?
that's for distances now.
Right.
No, that's for,
Well, this is all going.
That's all going.
That's all
Yeah.
gonna be moved.
a lot of it's gonna be
Administrative
going.
regs.
But the basic policy is, we're going to provide transportation
Do it from,
for students
right,
Right,
that live in their attendance zone.
yeah.
yeah,
There's going to be a walking distance limitation, and then the superintendent can override both.
right.
So those are the basic things that should probably be put in first, and that wouldn't have to be a negative, it would just be.
No.
Well, that's why we had moved it up
Well,
first, so. that's
And
why
we
said-
may very well want to move them up, it makes sense, but once we've seen things and identified in some way those things that are gonna go into administrative regs and those things that are gonna go into other sections.
So, I'm trying to see where are we now in this policy for the next one?
All of your highlights, we moved into administrative regs.
Right.
Everything that's in the yellow I got is gonna be going to administrative regs.
Correct.
And did you address such things as field trips?
Just keep going.
That's-
There's more.
There's more.
Where?
Right here.
Right?
Where'd it go?
Let's see.
Oh, I see, it's
The field
number
trip and stuff is up
3 and
top.
4.
Yeah,
That's field
first
trips.
page.
I got it.
Field trips and special education is up top.
That's,
That's right. Transportation for the, okay.
okay, this is.
So Dick, your revision is basically a rewrite that changes all of it. We
Well,
don't have a copy of
it doesn't change much. I've only got the one here I'm working with, but it does add a section for other transportation where you've got special ed, and you got field trips and athletics and private schools, all of which
And then we
we
have,
It's here.
I mean,
It's
you
right
can-
here.
Right, number 3,
2 and
2 and
3.
3.
2 and 3.
Right. Can we get rid of said transportation? I mean, in
Where?
that language?
What line?
we're.
Oh,
30.
God only knows.
30.
33?
Say it,
There it is.
transportation.
Yeah. I would just
make
say
it- yeah,
transportation. I know it sounds legal,
And because that's a italicized change, you need to strike it, you
Right,
know.
I can just change it.
but.
Just change it. Okay,
Yeah, because we provide transportation to and from the campus.
okay. Somebody, in one of the other policies, had a problem with school campus, the word campus, didn't we? Is that okay now?
Yeah, that had to do with,
We had a problem with that, thought it was more like a college type of thing that we had versus.
It's okay.
it's okay, that was about nutrition.
Okay, yeah.
That talked about school campus. Let's not go there.
Okay.
Been there, done that.
Okay, transportation will not be provided for students from the extracurricular activity, so that's all of the things that you still got in there, so,
Right?
okay.
Are the first two lines of number 2 necessary at all?
What,
Southwest
Marie?
Vermont Supervisory Union and member district will provide free and appropriate public education to all eligible students with disabilities.
is that one of the ones that came directly out of that requirement to be able to state that?
It sounds really rough.
Yeah, but it sounds like an education policy, not transportation.
And it is, it's called federal law.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm gonna say.
It's federal law, but why are we repeating it?
Because when these audits, and I don't know whether whoever
It's an
got,
audit.
I bet you it came out of an audit that says, we're providing money and you need to state this in your policy along that line. And that particular section came that way.
Yeah, I mean, the rest of it, it's all true.
Yeah.
It just seems patently obvious to me, doesn't it?
But I'm almost, yes, that's where that came from. We had an audit looking at the money and for special ed and so forth, but yet we didn't say it and we need to show it.
So is there any way that we can note on there that this language is required for whatever reason, so that 20 years from now, when we're reviewing this again and Leon's perhaps not here, we can know that that's the reason why.
It's a lot of it out there. I don't know
Yeah.
that well. I mean,
But we're here with one right now, so we might as well
Yeah.
say, okay, why do we have this here? What's the requirement?
I think the requirement is that we provide free and appropriate public education, and that transportation is included in that. I have never seen anything that says that you have to have that language in a policy, but
Well,
I
it
could easily be.
Doesn't change the meaning of the policy or.
No, it just
doesn't,
seems
but
patently.
I'm almost
obvious.
positive that's where that came from,
I could
behind
be
one
right.
of the
I don't know.
reviews when we looked at special ed.
Could ask the head
We
of
can ask the
special ed.
new sped director now and see what is necessary
Yeah,
to
ask
put
the
in
new
there,
sped
but
director, and well,
The reviews that you're talking about, were costs that were provided?
when we get an audit and they
And
talk about, well, what is it that says you're
What's
gonna
your
do this,
policy on
and what's this
providing
policy over here for that?
transportation?
And so, I think Renee, you had a bunch that just came up in terms of how we spent money and other stuff, and how we manage things. Well, those came as a result of the audit saying, okay,
So there might be a report somewhere that
yeah,
talks about it.
yeah.
probably the most recent sped audit. I would bet if it's gonna be in anywhere, it's gonna be there.
Well, and that part was in the admin regs before. I mean,
Yeah.
we revamped it, but,
It's gonna be somewhere,
so
and it's federal law and retirement
Oh.
doesn't apply.
And there are two issues
it is regulations stated there.
that I'm not sure if I missed them or if we didn't address them. One is publication, because that was a big issue with districts the last go around in 2008, according to my notes.
Right.
That's part of the things
Right.
highlighted in yellow.
Publication
Yeah,
of the,
in the range.
of the,
Oh,
of the route.
schedules, yeah.
Line 33 on the fourth page.
So that
Bus
got,
routes and schedules shall be communicated to parents and guardians prior to the opening of the school year.
that got in there, okay.
And so that was an issue with that being, when did we put it out?
Yeah.
Some districts and so forth along that
Panel
line.
wanted it
Right.
published.
And
And the other thing was, there was a section added in these things about transportation for a private school student space available or something to that effect.
yeah, that's,
Is that already in there?
that was already in.
Wanted in there, or?
That's what we took out.
We marked it out because that has been deleted from that law.
Right.
What was it,
From state
1220,
statutes.
1222?
Yes.
Yeah,
And
it is
we are no
1222.
longer responsible to provide that.
I didn't realize that
About
1222
private schools.
took it out.
says-
1221 was repealed and replaced by 1222.
Right.
So the only place, I mean, we had one school, I don't know how many we had using the
Yeah,
services.
Grace Christian, didn't they?
Sacred Heart was
Sacred
one,
Heart.
and might have been Grace Christian,
I'll give those.
was riding on the space available
Right.
on the route, so. Hmm?
I don't believe any of them ever wrote,
My kids did,
did they?
yes.
It's not the law.
But not
Right.
now, I
Not
know it's
allowed.
not, but I'm just saying that that's why that was in there. They
Wanna
wrote
read
way
what-
back.
Read what it
Yeah.
says, because it says we cannot provide transportation. It isn't just,
Under the new, under
Yeah.
1222. BSA.
Oh, yeah. School directors are not authorized to furnish or pay compensation for transportation of pupils attending private or parochial schools.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Yes, that changes that.
I think you pretty much hit everything that we were trying to change.
So there may be a
So
way to make a nice markup of this then, at this point, for the next meeting, correct?
So what do we want to, yes, right, talk about now? It's, the stuff that's in there,
Right.
we can take everything that's saying that's to be, I mean, we need, no, we're gonna leave that in. I'm just trying to see how we wanna review this at the next meeting. We've done a lot, and we wanna just have it, come back with the items that are in the administrative regs out of the base policy, and the strike through still in there.
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
italics.
Move it, yeah. Keep the italics, keep the cross-outs, but move
Move all the
everything that
yellow.
would be in yellow into administrative regs.
Right.
And anything that we've changed today. And then give that whole copy to us
To us, to everyone.
for the, yeah, electronically for the next meeting.
Okay. Is everybody in agreement to that?
Did we want to look at the responsibilities of the contractors?
Well,
I think we
Probably
got them all
do.
down.
It's
We
in
can-
there, isn't it? Didn't we see that?
Well,
Well, that was the only thing that somebody was asking about the responsibility of contractors, and they wanted to know the list of bus drivers and whether they had certain
That's a
responsibilities.
different policy.
Yep, that's under that drug, mandatory drug and alcohol testing. But, where do you wanna go?
Can you scroll up a little bit to the beginning of that section? Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think we changed much of anything.
should we be?
Mhm.
I don't think so.
There was an argument somewhere along the line, and maybe you got it in there, a long time ago, about whether or not a district has the option to request that a driver be suspended. I just remember it as a big argument.
Yeah, it's in there.
It's
It is
there
in there.
at line 5 of B at the very last
I'm looking for
at
that.
the end, and it says, school districts without liability on the part of the school districts, I love that.
Okay, so the
Shall have
contract,
the, I love that language, shall have the right to require that, I should say the contractor, suspend or dismiss any driver at any time for any reason relating to such driver's performance. Really?
Yeah.
Mhm,
Can I just ask one quick question?
yes.
Really?
Who thought that that was actually, I mean, who thought that that was going to actually be true?
Well,
I mean, you can say that you can do that without any liability, but
I don't know
Really?
that that's how,
Community work for
it sounds like they're working for Uber. I
You're done now.
well, I just wanted to know that was a real thing, and I'm gonna tell you, it came from BSD out here from way back, and so.
guess, for any reason.
It's, and whether that's valid now, but that's where that particular part came from.
Thank you for reading.
And so, if you think we need to make a change there, somewhere,
I'd strike that. That just seems absurd language to me. I can't believe it even got through here, but
well, I mean,
I don't remember
Obviously
ever
wanted
seeing
it.
that before.
that's crazy.
It's been there, been living there for a
I
long
know.
time.
Has
That may
ever
be
gotten
true.
used?
10 years.
That doesn't mean that it's not crazy.
Did it
No,
ever get
that's
used?
right.
Did anybody attempt to try to use it?
None of us made
nobody
it up.
tried to do that I know of, but I do know where
Which
it
is a
came
good
from.
thing.
And so I'm saying, this is a new day, and if you're saying, let's take it out, we can take it out along that line, and as you go back to the individual boards again and review that, this was there, and they say, why did you take that out? You can tell them why you took it out. And if they agree, we can move on.
Here's my question with that though, is in terms of the contract with the bus companies, is it actually in there? Because it's possible that the bus company would indemnify the school board exercising this right. And
Unless
so-
you took letter C and you modified that with the contractor consultation with the district.
Yeah.
Take C, if you made a joint decision.
Yeah.
Immediately.
So that gives you a specific thing. It's about
Yeah.
the driver being unfit, not just some random unhappiness you have with the driver.
Now, I'm
Right.
just wondering if the B part is something that requires that it's in the contract. If that's what that is
Is it
about,
in?
I don't know what the bus
It is, I
contract
think
is.
it is.
Yeah, and that was part of my question as I was reading through this is what should be policy language and what's really contract language?
Right.
So,
Good for you.
Well,
My reading of this, to avoid the this is crazy, is, okay, so here's a policy that requires the contract to include that language. I don't know if it does. So it's a policy directing over negotiates the contract. So,
Right.
So do you still have that in, is that in that
So
contract
we
now?
didn't-
they're supposed to provide us with a list of all their driver's license because we have
Oh,
to make
yes,
sure
that
that they're all
question.
background checked.
And
Right.
that keeps coming up all the time about
That's-
who the bus drivers are, the list, where did that list reside?
Yeah, that,
no, I mean the last
Okay.
clause. I'm
It's
talking
the
about
last
crazy
clause.
clause, whether that's in the contract.
yeah, the crazy clause.
Well, we can strike that part in
It's
terms
part-
of without liability on that, if that's what we're talking about, and be able to move on.
That's not what we're talking
The
about.
school district without liability on the
Can-
part of the school district shall have the right to require that contractor suspend. I don't know what, yeah, okay.
C makes more sense.
C makes a lot more sense, but we, is that in agreement?
It is
Everybody's in
contract.
agreement with the section starting in the middle of number 10 in terms of striking that?
I don't know enough information to
Yeah.
strike it.
I understand what you're saying. If it's in the
Yeah, I do
contract.
too.
If we're able to get it in the contract.
Well, that's what I'm asking
Right?
Renee, is it in the contract, or whether she's checking and see.
If it's in the
It's in the
contract,
contract.
Mike,
And that's why we have car insurance. So our car insurance requires some sort
Right.
of underinsured motorist stuff.
right,
Someone else has to do it.
somebody else has to pay for
It's pretty powerful.
Maybe the
Well, our contract actually hasn't been executed yet, so if you want it in, we can work it in. We're still working through the details of it. If you don't want it in, and it's there, we can.
Okay.
All right.
Just, can I play devil's advocate?
Yes. go
Even
ahead.
if we could get it in the contract, and maybe if we did it, maybe if it's in there, do the school boards really need or want the right to require the contractor to suspend or dismiss any driver at any time for any reason? Oh, it has to relate to the driver's performance.
Right.
There's the one conditional. It still strikes me as,
Maybe it has to be just the superintendent.
I don't,
No, I think
Yeah,
really,
do you have authority to do that for a contractor who is their employee?
That's right.
Right.
They're selling another business.
Right, but that problem
no, but
came
you're
about.
contracting with the business. I think you can do this. If they agree to it in a negotiation, yeah, it's gonna be enforced. But I'm wondering, I'm not a school board member, so what do I know?
Well,
But do the school boards want to be able, do you want a parent to come to you and say, I want this board to act on that school bus driver that's driving my little Johnny to school, and you can do it, because it says it right there.
We may not want
Do
it
you
that
wanna do
way,
that?
but we had, this, again, this is, I remember one way back, and the only reason I can remember is this was the BSD issue, and this was an issue that was going around the nation where had individuals trying to be concerned about bus drivers and the conditions and who had information related to that, and whether you had any authority to say something about somebody that was believed to be unfit for driving, and how did you relate that back to the contractor of the busing service? That's a real thing that still relates today out here. So how do we do it if we take it out of here? How do we have something come up along that line and be able to, Dave's got.
Well, if we have, I get complaints all the time, and what I do is I call Mike and say, this is a complaint, can you investigate it? Or if my team can investigate it with the cameras, we'll say we have this evidence, or we have a witness. So that's why I'm thinking if we had C and we dressed it up to be something like the contractor in consultation with either the school board, the central office, may suspend, dismiss, or replace any driver upon discovery that such driver is careless, negligent, or unfit. That to me would cover a lot of ground. And that's kind of what we do in practice. I don't tell the driver he can't drive. I call Mike and say, we build a case, and he investigates it, and he works with us.
Now, does that tie? What this was saying up here, it goes back to that without liability. So now we're saying take that out, but then we're going, in consultation with the bus contract,
No
say
liability
that
if
yes,
he's
we
dismissed.
agree that this person need to be dismissed by whatever results out here. What
Well, there's
obligation?
no liability.
What are the liabilities now going? They're shifting away. Are we endorsing the bus company in terms along that line? And if something come up and say, okay, we had a discussion and we did this to the person, and we both made a mistake, and now that person is up with litigation, and you're saying, I'm not going to handle this on my own. We discussed this together, and voila. So what do we want to do now in that circumstance exactly with that statement?
Good question for a lawyer.
Well,
I would say
That's precisely when the school district hires one.
that's right, but we did some things to get away from that from way back when we started this 20-something years ago. We were into those situations, and we had to put things in here to try to make sure that the school boards were protected, and that's what this was doing.
They're only protected if the contractor indemnifies them, because
Right.
you can't stop somebody from suing you. You can make somebody else pay for the damages.
Right. So
Anybody
now,
can sue
Exactly,
anybody.
but anybody can sue anybody.
Right.
The idea that, this language is a little bit overbroad. It strikes me as we're gonna bring this back to us anyway.
right. So we can
Could
have.
this be an issue that we could take to, I'm much more in favor of Dave's way of saying, this is what we actually do as a basis for coming up with language. But if we could run that by Steve at some point, between now and then, particularly if we're working on a contract with a bus.
We're working on the
provider.
bus contract, so you can bring
So
that
that would
point
be,
up.
I mean, it would strike me as a
Hey,
perfectly
if we've
good
been lucky
reason.
enough to get the indemnity in the past, I'd love to keep getting it, but I bet you we don't.
I can't imagine.
Yeah.
I bet you the indemnity has never been identified in that contract. I would,
But it's
Okay,
if I was,
That's right, by policy.
Well, the policy doesn't make law. The policy
no,
doesn't
it's
make
just
it
that
doesn't
it
even
remi-
make a contract.
No.
it just reminded those board members that asked the questions, and a lot of this stuff go back, and that's what we're saying. A lot of the things that we did way back is that we wanted to make sure we protect the district along that line, and the
Sure.
individuals were
But this doesn't.
grossly
This doesn't protect
separated.
anybody, just
I know.
say there's no liability,
It
doesn't
throws
mean
us
there
in the
is.
hole,
It
actually.
throws-
It does not protect a soul.
Well, 20-some years
It may
ago, we
embolden
probably
somebody
did.
who doesn't know that.
Exactly, which would be just the wrong message to be sending.
So what I'll do is we can have Renee just verify something along that line, and then you have it ready for us for the next time to take it out, and we can change that information to be able to review the performance in consultation with them and say, you know,
That's about
like Dave mentioned, that they may be dismissed based on reasons related to their driving performance or something along that
Get
line.
out of there.
I don't think it's on that.
Okay.
Well, I know, but we won't.
Just flag this.
So
We could-
basically, what we're saying we want to do next time so we can,
But you
Oh, no, I don't
you
want that
it
color.
taken out.
I don't want to take it out, I want
We
it
don't
want
it,
to
no.
be, it's an open question,
Pink,
and,
make it pink.
and the C could be
Yeah, I don't want it
expanded to
pink.
make,
Green.
make
Yeah,
more
it'll do
sense. And,
I'll come back to it.
okay.
and I think that might be the way around it.
So we'll be expecting, we'll be able to come back in September with this. So we're talking about our next meeting, actually, unless something really happened, September will be our next formal school board meeting for policies, yes.
Wow.
We skipped July.
And
And
we're
then
skipping August?
August is because if we're getting ready for schools, the boards haven't met, we hadn't had a discussion of anything unless there's something that really occurred. Most of the people off in July, so it's just starting. Everything that's gonna happen in August, for the start of school, we would need to have to meet in September to discuss it and put it on the list so that it'll go out. And that's why that's that way. Always, if there's an emergency somewhere, we would be able to call a meeting and bring
I
things
doubt it
together.
would be anything that we do.
We had one more. Oh.
Yes.
And I
Which
wanna-
one did I miss? Oh, family medical leave. I'm sorry. We have
FMLA.
Just want to tell you one little feature on transportation. So I go back through the records here. In 2001 was when we first attacked this, and we came up with 8 pages for policy. So we are working in the right direction.
Yeah.
Right.
So you're all set,
That family
Lisa,
medical
with what
leave
you're gonna
act.
do with the other one?
That
So-
FMLA
12
was,
pages.
got
Okay.
deleted a lot.
So
So
that-
12 pages long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
So the
God.
next one on here, policy number 4327, family medical leave.
Yeah.
And Ed was going to add in, and,
We're gonna delete.
Well,
We
we
yeah.
added
No.
one sentence,
we added a sentence in here.
but then
I can't
the whole
really
lot
see.
of stuff got deleted.
What's the sentence you have?
The sentence,
It's right here.
is
Oh,
right
wait.
here.
Mine is
Anytime,
bigger, sorry.
okay, I can't, okay, yeah, you're doing it.
Thank you.
We had HR take a
Right
look
here.
at some things and practices that we were doing. And anytime limit or requirements listed in the following policies may be modified by a bargaining unit collective bargaining agreement, please refer to the collective bargaining agreement variation. So, I'm trying to see, is that what we really wanted
Right,
Yes,
that was it.
that's what Ed gave me.
in? Okay, I won't.
Right.
Yes, okay. It was,
Yeah.
that would be good. The bargaining unit wanted to see it, and they didn't see that as being part of that. And so that's why that's added for that. So that all the employees will know what's available through HR and being able to say that. Okay.
Sure.
That was all that was needed to happen to that.
Well, and then
Uh,
Ed we asked Ed to look at it again because a lot of the what's in the policy is what's in the law.
Right.
And so he marked out a lot, so, you know, it went down to like a 2-page policy now.
Don't repeat the law. Don't repeat this law.
That we were doubling up on things that might have been already in the FMLA.
Stop scrolling right there, see, determining a 12-month period.
Right.
We need that.
C is determining this 12-month period.
Yeah, the reason that's needed is you can calculate it a whole bunch of different ways. You don't want to do it annually because that would mean that someone could take 12 weeks at the end of the year, then it would start
Another 12
over
weeks in the new.
January 1st. That's the rolling 12-month period, which I
That's
think is,
yeah, you need to have
So,
that,
that's the one thing that jumped out at me when I saw that.
the change.
Strictness.
Okay.
Yeah, that one, yeah, right.
I'm not sure if there are others in terms of these acts on how you make a definitional determination. That's the one that I
Yeah.
didn't know about.
Lisa, did you know that you did not send this version out?
No.
Okay, you sent how to.
But I can send
clean
this
it.
in an
Can
email
you
to
do that?
everyone.
Can you do that?
Absolutely.
So that we can actually see what it is that was, and that, because mine was a version that got cleaned up, even the italicized part that we read earlier was just clean.
So that means you want to come back in September, you wanted to move on?
Well,
We wanted to go to SVSU.
you know,
Has a Family Medical Leave Act expert reviewed it before?
Well, that's who we was having with Ed, look at what the practices were. Actually, there were items coming up in the contract negotiations
Yeah,
concerning
sure
those. And we were doing things that were more in favor of the employee more so than the act. And we wanted to make sure that we
Right.
documented that way.
I would say that this issue has been back and forth to the lawyers many times because they've been working on some grievances over the way
Right.
the contract was written. And so
Okay.
they have refreshed over the past year the language, trying to get it clarified and get the clause changed in the contract to the benefit of the staff members.
right.
And they are trying to get that changed right now in negotiations. So this represents what they have cleaned up and
So
recreated.
did they really want to get rid of the 12? That was the one that would be one that I.
We didn't discuss that part in terms of getting rid
No.
of
I would
that.
at least
So that
double
might-
check that
That
and-
came from Ed, I
Right.
think.
We can always, take it
Yeah.
out. I'd rather leave it in and that's.
Yeah, I think I'd rather leave
And
that.
it may have been so much part of his thinking that's the way we do it, that he
Yeah.
didn't think we needed it in the policy.
Mhm.
Okay. So what I'm saying is, do we need to send that to SVSU on now? Is that
In the cleaned up version?
in the
The
cleaned
cleaned
up version?
Plus,
Well, did they
Well,
want to see the
we got
whole
the-
strikeout
I think I
version
really
first?
would like to
Send
see the strikeout. I'm sorry about that.
I
But
mean,
that would
the
go to
SVSU
SVSU with
would see the
everything in there.
strikeout.
When we say clean up version, we
Yeah.
won't take it out until it goes through. and
Yeah,
everybody
so
sees
why
it.
don't we do it that way?
Because
That
it'll
works.
come back to you anyway.
Exactly. So it'll be time enough.
Right.
But as long as we've taken the strikeouts out of that
Yes,
C,
yes, she did that.
Okay.
then it's gonna go in this form. We just never got this format, at least I didn't.
Okay. So,
Okay, thanks, Lisa.
so what we have is 3 going on to SVSU, so they'll know, and that's 5145, 5411, and 4327. Coming back next time, here's 3100 for transportation
Mm-hmm.
along that line. We have a tracking sheet,
No, no, they don't go to,
Right.
okay, so
the
you have your,
regulations don't go to.
No.
no. Is it anything in terms of the tracking sheet, Lisa, we need to, just to see where everybody is out here that we need to be concerned about?
I think we're good.
Just in terms of what just came up, the administrative regulations don't go to the boards?
No.
So there's no
They-
formal...
There's no formal review
No,
of those, they go
there's no
posted on the site.
Yeah,
So-
I don't mean review, but actually presenting it to the board, as in, this is a formal, we're presenting this to the board, this is what we've done, and
No.
just as a notice.
What you've done is build a policy, ask the administrators to review the policy and document the administrative regs to how they're interpreting and using the policy.
But the
Those are posted on the site, but we won't be sending them around to all of the board.
Right, but is there any formal
Yes.
notification to the board that here, this is now posted on the site? That's
I
what
think there should.
By name, that's what I'm saying, and I think what I said, this is going to SVSU just to say that we the name, and that's all. It was down as a information only, we
We
put them
could
down
put
at the
them on an
bottom.
FYI on the bottom of the
That's-
agenda.
That's what I would.
That's what I was
Let's
thinking,
do
okay,
that.
I thought that's what we did last time, we put them as an FYI down at the bottom of
It's
the
not,
page.
it's
and
not
that's
for
it.
review.
No
It's
action.
not for the board
No
to
action.
review them, but, and it's not asking for action, but they should know that they've been published.
So that they can go and look if they want to and do that, that's what we, also, okay, so we're all set with that then? So it's, my mistake for messing it up, the two of them together are going to be now for FYI, and then the one is going to SVSU as blood.
Right. For,
Family medical leave when it
Right.
comes out, okay. Is there anything else that I, no? So next September is when we'll meet, and if things come up at the board that we need to have in terms of a list of policies that you want us to review or consider, just shoot an email or send something on to me or send it to Lisa or whatever and say, you know, we want to make sure we get a chance to look at this. That's another way of getting some of these things on the list.
Are we gonna continue to meet on the second Monday?
The second Monday is still, we made that change, is
That works for me, but, you know, if it doesn't work for other people, I
is
can
that
say.
a problem?
I had September 11th, the date.
You had September 11th?
9/11. There we go.
Perfect.
So if we'll keep that on for this year, and okay.
I appreciate it, but I understand if it doesn't work for other folks.
And it's 6 o'clock, right on the dot, so it's time to end. I just want to thank everybody for this year, and we'll see you at the next school year.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yep.